Hello, Bible readers. In chapter 39, Joseph had his first encounter with the ways of the empire. He resisted temptation from the seductive woman out of loyalty to his master and out of fear for his God. It was an expression of humanity, as we talked about yesterday, or in the last post, I should say. It was an expression that showed full reliance on God while also being fully engaged in the world. That interweaving, that coupling is a unique claim that's how Joseph works, that God can work within someone's life who is fully engaged with the world. So in chapter 40, we read of Joseph's second encounter with empire. Together, both these chapters are in preparation for chapter 41, where the plot will actually move forward. But in today's text, we're simply made aware that Joseph is gifted with dream interpretation, which is really information that only helps prepare us for chapter 41. And what do we do with this? I mean, it's kind of an unusual subject matter, right? We 21st century scientifically minded people, what do we do with dream interpretation? Psychologists have tried to make sense of dreams. Some say they're part of personal archaeology. I like that phrase. Freud would have said that, as much as artifacts might explain the past and inform our present, like a dinosaur bone would tell us how certain things happened in this area, geologically speaking, dreams can be examined to explain why do we feel the way we feel and why are we the ways that we are. So that's the first guess from psychologists, is that it's kind of like an archaeological, a personal archaeology. Maybe dreams are more like data, though. Like maybe insights are allowed to burst out of closed thinking. When I'm awake, I just have closed, normal ways of thinking. But what if when I'm asleep, ideas burst and data that's hidden and boxed comes out, like unbridled thought in my dreams? That's another guess at what dreams are. A third guess at what dreams are about is to say they're not about anything in particular. They're just weird. They're inexplicable. But today's text makes a different claim, that dreams are a gift, or at least can be. Interpretation of dreams, also a gift. Not done by developing a skill. It's not like we can become clever enough or wise enough to be able to interpret dreams. There's no technique to do this. It's only a gift given from the power of God that someone could interpret a dream. It's an important claim to be made in the face of Pharaoh, because like every imperial leader or master, Pharaoh would think he's got the corner on all knowledge. He has power over everything else, but not over dreams. In these dreams, as he would love to know what all this means, Pharaoh, any worldly power, is powerless. And this is how these stories are revolutionary for their time. The powerful, then and now, got to tell you what is real, what is true, what is factual. But this is a story, this Joseph story, especially this dream interpretation part, is about how the monopoly of knowledge enjoyed by Pharaoh is broken by Joseph. Pharaoh knows how to manage, he knows how to administer, he knows how to control, he knows how to oppress, but he does not know how to discern the movement of God within his own realm. Only God knows that. And only Joseph does God's work in this situation. That's why Joseph's dream interpretation, his ability to discern the future that cannot be resisted, it's a challenge to the empire itself. The Bible is full of challenges to worldly empires, worldly powers, worldly privilege. It starts in Genesis and just continues through the whole thing. So the number one theological statement here is that dream interpretation belongs to God. Statement number two is that so does the future. The future lies beyond human endeavors, human competence, human cleverness. The future belongs in the hands of God, not human hands. That's a tough theological assertion for us to agree with, you know? Pharaoh is learning about how the future does not belong to him, or it's not under his control. He's learning that, and he will learn that more in the next chapter, through Joseph. And the third statement, the third theological statement being made in chapter 40 in particular, is that God is with Joseph in a big way. Look at verse 8. Do not interpretations belong to God? Joseph asks. Tell your dreams to me. Like, just making the connection, you know, let God interpret your dreams, so tell me your dreams. I mean, talk about speaking for God. Joseph is God's man. He is in and with and for the empire, and yet he will remain God's man. And this is a big theological statement being made. Because the dream that Joseph had, that all these sheaves would bow down to him, these dreams in chapter 40, the dreams are not about dream interpretation. The dream is simply a vehicle to show that God's power can be lodged in a specific person. Joseph is doing God's work clearly in verse 8. Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell your dreams to me. Joseph is doing the work of God, being the power of God in a worldly empire. And yet Joseph being God's man, and here's the other mind-blowing thing, even though he is God's man, he's powerless. In his own family, he's born to rule. He's a carrier of the promise, God's man, and here we find him in prison, reduced to beg the other characters in the story, please tell Pharaoh about me. Don't forget about me. Remember me. It won't be the last time a powerful one is a member of the least. This is an example of how the first shall become last while the last become first. Tomorrow, we close this little 3-chapter piece with chapter 41. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.